Hello, it's Weekend Handicapper from weekendhandicapper.com. In this video, we are going to discuss what to do when a race is taken off the turf and put on the main track or the dirt track. But before we get going too further, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can get all the latest tips, tools, and resources to help you win money on thoroughbred horse races. All right, so especially this time of year when I'm recording this springtime, getting ready to become summer, you're going to get some rain. You're going to get some monsoon sometimes. And eventually it's going to happen that you are playing, when you go to play the horses, that a turf race is going to be taken off the turf and moved to the main track or dirt track or synthetic track. So what do you do? Well, we're going to discuss what to do. So one of the things, and probably the most preferred thing, honestly, is if you spend all the time handicapping, putting your time and energy in there, and the very next day or the day that you play the races is taken off the turf because all the rain or whatever, it's best to skip. And the reason being is so many of those horses are going to scratch. What you handicapped, what you prepared for is not what's going on right now. Now, a trademark of a good horse player and good handicapper is being flexible and able to adapt to different situations and conditions. True. But there's so many races. There's going to be plenty of times when you can play other turf races. Heck, it might be that day at a different track around the country, around the world. Just because it's raining in your neck of the woods or whatever track you're playing and it's taken off the turf doesn't mean turf racing is shot for the day necessarily. But if you're sticking to your plan of attack, the tracks that you handicapped, and if for some reason it's taken off the turf to the main track, it's best to skip it. There's going to be so many of those horses that are going to scratch, which means they're going to say, not today. I'm going to skip this race. And so a tenet of handicapping is, big fields equals nice prices, typically. Good payouts, especially in turf races. But as the more of those horses get scratched, because they're turf horses, they're bred to run on the turf primarily. Now you have some exceptions like Wise Dan who can run on anything, concrete, whatever the case may be. One of my favorite horses, by the way, because of his versatility. But I digress. But most horses are bred for the turf. So they ain't going to run on dirt. Definitely not a sloppy track, a muddy track, a wet track. So they'll scratch. So now you have a short field. And short fields usually means not worth playing, honestly, because the payouts are typically not as good as a larger field. But if you do play, whether you need action or you feel good, because you do know your handicap and you know that maybe this horse is bred to run on this off track, sloppy track. So if you have those factors going for you, by all means, if at a decent price, play that horse. But the main thing would be to skip it. Just wait another day to play those horses. If you have to play, then look at pedigree, how well the horses, that should, in my opinion, you should look to see before pedigree, how well the horse, if it's ever ran on an off track before. That's by far what I prefer. You want the proof's in the pudding, not speculate on breeding, what's going to happen. I mean, that's a fact and you want to add that in there, supplement it. But the first thing we want to look for is, has this happened to the horse before? Has it ran on an off track before? And you can find that in your past performances and your track program. And look how well it did. Did it handle the track? Even better if it ran on an off track at the particular track that it's running today, on that particular day. Even better. Then pedigree, you can look at its mud stats. If you use Daily Racing for Tomlinson ratings, there's various ways to assess it if you're going to play. And then you want to look out for what's called main track only contender. So those that are new to horse racing and handicapping, there are horses many times on many race cars that are waiting in the wings. And you'll see it on, they're usually the higher numbers, so like 13, 14, 15, main track only horses. And self-explanatory, you'll see an MTO right by their name. And that means if the race is taken off the turf and moved to the main track, these horses are only eligible to run if it's moved to the main track. Those are usually some pretty good live contenders. They're waiting. That's where they excel, on the dirt track, on the main track. So be looking for those. Now, it's it can't be that easy, right? Most handicappers and horse players know that. And therefore, if main track only horses get in, typically they're pretty low prices for the most part, and logical. So, but be looking for those. Don't be afraid to play those, especially at decent odds, because they're going to be, on the whole, contenders for that race. So, what do you do when a race is moved off the main or off the turf to the main track? One, probably should skip it, especially if it's affected by all kinds of scratches. Plenty of other races to play. So just don't worry about it. If you have to play, look to see how well the horse has ran on and off track. In your past performances, is like this little circle with an X through it. That's how you know. Or you just look on there, you know, if it'll say abbreviated muddy or sloppy. See how well they ran. And then see if they ran at this particular track on and off track. Then look to the pedigree. And then if there's some main track onlys, those MTOs, look at those, evaluate those, and see what you think about them. That's some pretty good tips if you get affected, and you will if you play horses long enough, by races that were carted for the turf gets moved to the main track. So hopefully this helps you if you run into that scenario. And who knows, some of these tips might find you a nice long shot, or put together a nice exacta or something by using some of these tips when your race gets moved from the turf to the main track. So if you like these kind of videos, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, so you can get all the latest tips, tools, and resources from me, the Weekend Handicapper. Check out weekendhandicapper.com. You'll find a lot of picks on there and resources and things. And until next time, happy handicapping and smart wagering.